the Iowa caucus was yesterday. The results have still not come in. What are your thoughts on the Iowa caucus, results from last night, as well as the future of the Iowa caucus?
I think the lack of results have hurt Iowa voters the most in their going and they're participating in this caucus, and the knowledge that their voices will be heard. And unfortunately, here we are now almost 24 hours later, and their voices are yet to be heard. I think it does call into question both the specifics of the situation and the failures, the lack of transparency in this process, that will unfortunately discourage turnout maybe in the future. That should call to question, the caucus system itself and the simplicity of, states like New Hampshire and South Carolina and others who use a primary where voters can go, cast their vote, go back to work, go home, whatever the case may be.
And just a quick follow-up. You've talked about election security a lot on the campaign trail, and having a paper trail.
Yes.
Some people are saying that there was issues with the app, and that's been something that they've known about for a while. Do you think perhaps there should be a push for more paper trails, or?
There must be a paper record of every single vote that's cast, whether it's in a general election or in a primary election or a caucus. I'm still learning a little bit more of the details of what happened yesterday. Someone said that there are paper records, but the app was failing. They weren't able to reach anyone on the phone. They were trying to take pictures of the papers and text them back to the headquarters. There's a failure on every single level, but I think it just further highlights the point that if there's any concern about the counts, the integrity of the election, you have to have the paper record of those votes cast so that voters, no matter what, have that confidence that their vote alone will be counted.
So do you think the chaos in Iowa vindicates your decision to focus on New Hampshire? It hasn't happened there in any way change the way you're going forward with the race in this state?
It's not about being vindicated. It's really just pointing to the complexity of this caucus process, that it seems like election after election fosters a lot of confusion, a lot of different volunteers and supporters from different campaigns getting frustrated either with another campaign or with the party because it is so confusing. I think voting should be as easy and as accessible and as transparent as possible.
Congressman, what do you think of President Trump's claim that the system is rigged against Bernie? Do you think he's just trying to sow division, or do you think there's something set up in the system that's unfair that you're seeing?
I haven't seen what Trump said. I'm not going to comment on what he's talking about, but I think that voters need to have their voices heard. And something that I have advocated for a long time now, especially since 2016, is getting rid of superdelegates. And this issue is coming into play now where the system being rigged is a valid concern, where the votes of voters don't carry as much weight as these individuals who are superdelegates who can literally pick and choose who our Democratic nominee will eventually be.
You think this chaos in Iowa could go to the president's benefit if he's able to stand up at the State of the Union and say there's something wrong with this party?
I think voters are really more concerned about leaders who are looking out for them and not so obsessed with what's happening in Washington. This is what we're seeing across party lines, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians, who are sick and tired of politicians in Washington who are more concerned for themselves and their power in their election than they are in actually doing their job and working for the people.
Do you worry at all that this mess in Iowa, the focus on the front runners in this race in Iowa, will kind of overshadow the hard work that you've had in this state? You've moved here, you've campaigned here every day. Do you worry that some of that attention is going to go off you and to the others?
Number one, no. I'm also not so narcissistic as to think that all the attention is on me. I've been spending all my time here bringing the attention to the voters of this state. And what I appreciate about the voters here is that they're fiercely independent. Someone told me that, oftentimes some New Hampshire voters will wait to see what the outcome of the Iowa election is before they make up their mind, because a lot of people literally are just making up their mind this week. And so I asked her, I said, so are you waiting to follow the trend of who Iowa voters chose? And she said, of course not. I just want to know who's still in the race. so I don't waste my time thinking I'm going to vote for somebody who ends up dropping out after Iowa. So the fierce independence of voters in this state will continue, and it is their voices that will be heard on February 11th.
Also, you said you would plan to protest outside of the CNN town halls. You were polling higher than Steyer and Deval Patrick. Why do you think you weren't invited?
That's a great question. I would love for some of you to try to get an answer from CNN on, because they're not returning our calls. This is not about me getting FaceTime. This is about voters being able to get access to make the best informed decision in this final week leading up to Election Day, and CNN's decision is dishonoring that responsibility that voters have.
Last question.
What message do you want to send out with these protests? What do you want them to know or to hear from you?
Respect the voters. Respect the voters. Don't hold your pre-primary based on who you feel voters should hear from and who you don't want them to hear from. Let voters make the decision for the future of our country.
What's the latest on your Hillary Clinton lawsuit? Did your process servers track her down or her people?
It wasn't an issue of tracking them down. It was an issue of them accepting service, and that has happened. I believe the first court date has been set in early March, and I think that's where things are right now.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You didn't ask any yet. I'll let you get
I
one
was
in here.
gonna, but
You gotta jump in there.
So the thing with CNN is obviously way out of control.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're gonna do to make the people believe that we actually have an informed electorate when, say, they don't have libertarian primary that Secretary of State Gardner considers to be a real primary? The Green Party don't have a real primary. The buzz online today is like, F this, Buttigieg stole the election with his app. I don't know if that's true, but the Mayor Cheat is trending. I mean, how do we bring back a sense that there is democracy?
By doing what we're doing in my campaign, spending time with voters and encouraging voters. If you're frustrated with this system, if you want to bring about changes, whether they are to our political process or to the issues that you're most concerned about, vote. Vote. That is the first and most basic step that we can take.
The follow-up I got to do on that is that they're not letting you on the debate stage. So if you can't get on the debate stage, if they don't let you have a primary, how can the electorate be informed? How can you even vote for? You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like it's so rigged.
There are a lot of people in our country. A few of them watch the debates. I think the media pays more attention to those debates than most voters in this, the vast majority of voters in this country do. It should be a great platform for voters to be able to get real information about who we are as candidates and the kind of leadership that we would bring, the qualifications that we bring to be the to serve as commander-in-chief. But even for the debates that we've had, it's largely become political reality theater, reality TV. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of voters tuning out and instead looking for information that actually provides them with the awareness to be able to make the best informed decision.
Do you trust Chairman Perez and the Democratic Party to conduct a fair primary process?
This is our last question.
I've got a lot of questions. We'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Thanks.
And congrats on getting Clinton to accept the service.